you leave this world thinking, what have I left? What's the mark that I've left on this world? And so we need all four of these, right? And this is our paradox. This is our dilemma. This is what makes life fun.
Hi, my name's Devon. Today I own several multi-million-dollar companies. We started with $5,000 in a credit card. I don't know the easy way. I only know the hard way.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Whiteboard Entrepreneur, where I give straightforward advice for the entrepreneur in all of us. I am Devon Dickinson, and today I want to talk to you about the entrepreneur's dilemma of the 4 Ps. That is a mouthful to say. But as I explain them, I think you're all going to go, yeah, I deal with that constantly, right? So I call the 4 Ps our passion, our purpose, our profit, and our pleasure. And these are the 4 Ps that we constantly wrestle with as entrepreneurs. Because I have this conversation all the time, like, hey, D, can I have some coffee? And, then we go and sit down and we sit there and we talk, and, people are like, oh, you know what? I really, my company's really growing, but honestly, I don't have a lot of passion around it. But it makes money, it pays the bills. And, I'm kind of at a crossroads in my life, and I'm thinking about, changing paths, and then I'm like, well, why? And they're like, well, because I really have this thing I'm passionate about. I love it. It's something I get excited. I don't even feel like I'm working, but man, I got to go back to ground zero and start all over again. And I'm like, oh yeah, that is a big decision, right? Or they say, well, because I really feel like this purpose, like, I'm called to go to Africa and feed kids, and this is my purpose. And I'm like, well, golly, that's a good, passion too, right? I can see where the crossroads is, right? But then they have their profit, right, as well, which is like, but if I lose this profit, then I can't do this, or I can't do that. And then finally, like, frankly, there is pleasure, right? Like, we're not, like, as entrepreneurs, even as I said the word pleasure, we probably all like, right? Like, kind of had an adverse reaction to that, because to entrepreneurs, the word pleasure is kind of like, it's almost like, pleasure, right? Like, no, we work hard, we drive, we're not in this for pleasure. We're not in this to enjoy our life. We're in this to climb the mountain, right? But honestly, that's not a healthy way to live. I would tell you, I haven't done a good job with this in my life. Like, I don't have enough hobbies, right? Like, but honestly, like, at some point in our life, we have to live it. We have to enjoy it. We have to, really relish our family, relish the time, find a hobby, spend time with friends and family, take vacations, have a pleasure to our life. And so we have this dilemma, this paradox of like, how do I have the profit but still pursue the passion? How do I have the passion but really I'm not passionate about what I think my purpose is? And then, at the same time, like I said, it would be nice to take a vacation, right? So like, we have all of these things that we constantly wrestle with every single day. And so I'm sure right now you're all sitting there taking notes going, oh great, he's going to give me the answer. He's going to give me the answer. He's going to tell me what to do. He's going to tell me how to balance all 4 of those things: passion, pleasure, profit, and purpose. And I'm going to tell you, I don't have the answer. I'm navigating this myself. But the biggest thing that I realize is that there are these 4 Ps, right? And that we have to understand that we need all of them, right? Like, these other ones go away. If you don't have profit, if you can't put food on your table and embrace on your kids, it's really hard to go and pursue your purpose. It's really hard to have the time to do something you're passionate about. You sure as heck can't do anything with pleasure because you got no money, right? So like if you don't have the profit, you can't do all that. But honestly, if you don't have pleasure, mentally, you're going to have a hard time, right? Like, I talked to a good friend of mine right now that's having terrible health issues because he's never taken time for himself. Right? And so, but if you don't have any passion about what you're doing, it's hard to wake up in the morning. If you don't have purpose, you leave this world thinking, what have I left? What's the mark that I've left on this world? And so we need all 4 of these, right? And this is our paradox. This is our dilemma. This is what makes life fun. This is what makes our life interesting, is balancing these and realizing these, and then also understanding the time period that you're in and how you navigate each of those 4 Ps. most of the time, the reason why we are so conflicted in our mind is because we frankly don't take the time to separate each of them out and be honest about them. We're not honest about the fact that actually what we do, we don't have any passion around. And actually, that's fine. You can have your job. I tell people this all the time. I'm like, well, how much does it pay? They're like, well, I make this much. I'm like, that's a great living. I don't care if you have any passion around it. It doesn't matter. That's a great living. Go find something you're passionate about, but this is wonderful, right? Like most people don't wake up in the morning and go, I have so much passion around my career. It's a career. A career is designed to give you income so that you can do other things. You can do the other three things, the other three P's. Very rarely are you going to find something that you have income that you are passionate about, that also has purpose and pleasure. It rarely happens. And people pursue their whole life conflicted and angry and frustrated because they don't have a career that gives them the other three P's. I would say your career gives you your profit, and that's okay if you're not passionate about it. It's okay if it's not leaving your mark on the world, because you can do that in other ways and other times and in other areas of your life. But if you think that you have to have this perfect intersection of life where all four of those come together perfectly, dead center bullseye, until that happens, you're never going to be satisfied, well, then you're never going to be satisfied. Because those four P's are oftentimes competing against each other. And when you realize that, and you also realize that different times in your life you require different, P's, P focus, right? Listen, maybe you've done that. Maybe you've ground it out. Maybe you worked really hard on your career. Maybe you've made the money and now you're at a crossroads in your life going, hey, actually, I'm not passionate about this. I could sell this today and have all this money so that I can do the other three P's. There's something I could be totally passionate about, won't even feel like working. I'll be excited to wake up every day. There's something else I can do that actually is going to leave the purpose, is going to leave a mark on this world that I did. I'm so, man, I get it. That's purpose, right? And at the same time, man, I really want to be a scratch golfer, right? Not me, I hate golf, but someone like, hey, I really want to be a scratch golfer. Good for you. Great. Now's the time, right? But there's other times in your life where, frankly, you don't have time for pleasure, right? You barely have time to be able to have dinner with your family, right? So guess what? Golf's by the wayside, right? And that's just the way it is. And you got to get comfortable with that. Or, you know what? Hey, my purpose today at this particular point, I can't do anything about it. The only thing I can do is put some money towards it. That's still purpose, right? And we go to bed on Sunday night and be like, oh, I have the Sunday blues because I don't have any passion around my job. I'm going to say, it doesn't matter. Does it pay the bills? Suck it up. Suck it up, buttercup, right? Because that's the season that you're in. Now, as you evolve, as you grow, as opportunities come and change, you may get passion back in your career. You may get passion back in the business that you built. You may not, right? But it doesn't matter because these four P's are independent of each other, and your job is to navigate those four P's. So for me, every year I write stuff on my whiteboard, as I like to do, because I'm the whiteboard entrepreneur, write stuff on my whiteboard for what I want to do in 2022. What's my passion, right? In 2022. What do I get excited about? What do I do that doesn't even feel like working? Well, to me, that's like coaching, right? Like I'm passionate about coaching, passionate. What's my purpose? Well, there's a ton of things I love to do philanthropically, but I frankly don't have a ton of time. This is kind of my philanthropic time piece that I do. But, there's an organization that I absolutely love that feeds kids all over the world. I wish I could be more involved with it. That would be really purpose-filled. And, maybe I could, maybe this be the CEO of that someday or be a board member, but I don't have time for that right now. But I put my money there. And so there's some purpose, right? So I got my passion, I got my purpose. And I'm going to tell you, every day when I wake up and I go to my job, it's not like I'm like passionate about being a CEO, passionate about working, right? But it's what I do. It's what provides the profit. And then I find time for pleasure, going on vacation, spending time with my family, doing things that I enjoy, doing things that I love, being with friends, carving out this. I'm having a 50th birthday party this year, doing things that frankly I haven't had time to do in the past. But I'm at that season in my life when I'm being able to address each of those 4 P's. Am I doing it perfectly? Absolutely not. That's why, frankly, I'm doing this right now, because I'm wrestling this. But you trust me when I tell you, you will be conflicted your entire life if you're trying to find that beautiful crossroads where all of the P's meet. I think that happens in heaven, right? I think that's when all of the 4 P's meet, right? But if you are someone that literally is so conflicted because you're like, man, my career, my profit, my purpose, my passion, my pleasure, it all doesn't come together at this perfect intersection of life, like, you're going to be frustrated. Recognize that these are 4 independent P's, and that's part of the joy of life, is balancing those. That's the challenge of life, is working through that. Please just take a minute to subscribe, and also, if you get a chance, forward it on to your friends, any budding entrepreneurs that could use the help. I'm Devon. This is Whiteboard Entrepreneur.